So for our farm, it's especially important that we have consistent dry grain for our farming operation, simply because we're feeding it out to animals. So for those of you that have ever had ground feed products, especially hogs or poultry or even a little bit of cattle, flowability is an extremely big issue. And a lot of that comes back down to the moisture in the product used. With BinManager, we can set what we want our grain dry to, and we know that it's gonna be that way. A hog feeder like us that is focused on creating a great feed product when you're grinding your own feed, or maybe even for large scale people that are doing it, having a consistent dry product is super important, so you're not having to add in extra binders or different things to try to circumvent the bad parts of mold or other types of pathogens that might be coming into the grain. So having a dry grain is usually the best product, especially when grinding feed. We've noticed, besides flowability for the grain physically going through that feeder, or when it comes to how many binders that we're needing for extra added molds or other funguses that might be growing in the corn, BinManager helps take another thing off of our plate, making sure that we have a consistent dry product and that we really don't have to worry about it. A lot of people are always like, oh man, it's climbing up the bins, quite a bit of work. Well, with BinManager, guys like me, we don't have to walk a lot of stairs anymore. It really takes a lot of the constant worrying out, making sure the grain, again, for a livestock farm, one of our biggest assets sitting in these bins, as well as most farmers, but we got to feed this. We're sitting on this corn for over a year at times. So we got to make sure that's constantly staying in condition. So climbing up the stairs is kind of a thing of the past when you had BinManager, because we can efficiently be able to manage our grain, knowing where those hot spots are. Do we need to pull a cord? What do we need to do? And then add on top of it, AGI's customer service, our customer rep, Katie, will give me a call physically on the phone and say, hey, Lucas, I saw something on the cable. Let's take a look at it. Let's see if we need to do something. Let's maybe recalibrate. If we need to see if we need a little bit better aeration, or let's get some colder temps going through there. So that's kind of the great thing about AGI. There's experts behind you making good decisions. So it's not just on your shoulders, making sure that you're like, oh God, what do I do? You got people there that have true know-how about what's going on. So this time of year, it's spring, everybody's kind of keeping moving and going. And one last thing that you don't want to do is be checking your bins, crawling up the ladder, all the rest of that. So BinManager really allows us to have some freedom and some options of being able to pull it up on our phone, being able to see from the comfort of the tractor cab or whatever you might be driving during spring planting or spraying or tillage, whatever it might be. It's one less job that we have to worry about. Right now, I wish you could probably hear it, is our bin fans are actually running. So we're keeping grain in condition, not over drying, not under drying, especially for us. It's a super, super important thing that we have dry, consistent grain, especially for an animal feeding operation. So right now, this grain that we're storing in this bin, we're really focusing on how do we keep it dry for the entire year, because we're gonna be feeding this to pigs, and if you're a pig guy, you definitely want dry corn, because wet corn sticks up in your feeders when you're grinding it down. So we're actually able to see this entire 3D image of what's going on inside of our bin, where we're at. A little bit earlier today, you can probably hear the fans running, conditioning the grain, but we're trying to get that grain down below 10%. Feeds best for us, and this is where we're actually able to see where in the heck this bin is at. Where are we at? Are we almost dry? Are we not dry? How much do we still have in the bin, which is pretty darn accurate too when you're trying to figure out inventories as well. AGI allows us to be able to do that. Before, you're going up, you're knocking the rings on the side of the bin, trying to figure it out, using some of that freshman geometry, but now it takes the guesswork out of a lot of this and allows us to understand exactly what's going on with our crop. One of the best parts about having this AGI system is that we can have peace of mind that these bin fans are going to start up when they need to and do the exact job that we're asking them to do. So when we say we want 14 moisture corn, it's going to give us that. We want 10, it's going to give us that. It's really nice, and it's a peace of mind again that we don't have to go and turn fans on and off. Come a weather situation, we know that it's going to be doing the right thing. Every single one of our the bin systems has its own weather station to making sure that you're getting the real-time data that it needs. Again, these fans are running. It's conditioning grain right now for us. because we're going to be sitting on some of this grain for a little over a year for our hog operation. So again, it's peace of mind that we have based off of AGI's technology. As you can hopefully hear in the background, I tip my mic that way, we're actually right now conditioning grain. It's perfectly nice. The humidity's down a little bit. We're trying to dry that corn down, keeping it at a perfect, okay, don't freak out, 10% moisture, because we're gonna be sitting on this until November. But over here right now, soybean bin's not running. If you're here about 2 days ago, you'd have been hearing this thing running all the time with the rains. I think to date, we've kind of gained around probably 3% moisture back into our beans from when we cut them last fall. Everybody knows that there's gonna be some natural ventilation that goes through there. You're gonna be drying them down a little bit, trying to cool them down during those warm September, October days. But this allows us again to stay very, very easy, because there's a great algorithm behind all of this helping do the decisions for you. One of the really cool points that AGI does is they actually send you about a 5-gallon bucket. You're gonna take your grain sample from that bin, and then you're gonna send it back to them. It's all included in your fee every year, and they're gonna help build a customized grain sample, hydration or dehydration plan, whatever you're trying to do. They're gonna help make the best decision possible for what's actually in that bin. I don't think you're gonna find that anywhere else in the industry, and the customer service is top notch to make sure that those samples get applied right back to the same bin. It's gonna help make sure that you're managing your grain the best way possible. So Mother Nature is pretty predictably unpredictable. You never know what moisture you're gonna be cutting your beans at. You're gonna hope that you're gonna cut them at 13. They're gonna hopefully stay 13 inside the bin. We all know that that's probably not gonna happen. With BinManager and all of AGI's system, we're gonna be able to hopefully get those beans right back to 13. So right now, these fans are not running. If you're here 2 days ago, or even this morning when it was foggy, we were putting in moist air, hopefully keeping our beans at 13. We've been extremely close every single year. To date, right now, we've added another 3% moisture back into our beans, 3 points of moisture back into our beans since harvest. And again, we're using Mother Nature to our advantage to help keep our crop in condition. Through AGI's automation and smart systems, we're able to use that to our advantage to get our crop in perfect condition when we're taking it in. So one of the best things about AGI's automation is physically being able to see what's happening inside in the center of our bin. It's one less thing to worry about when these fans can turn automatically on and off and keep our grain into condition. And also, you're not gonna see me going into the center of this bin probing multiple times trying to do it. With all the cabling, we're able to see what's happening. It's a digital x-ray of every single layer of that grain, so we know exactly what's happening, and we can call for the automation to keep our grain in exactly the condition that we want it to be in. So one of the biggest things is, like, you wanna make sure that you're staying profitable. You know, one of the easiest ways to help cut costs and make sure you're doing the right thing is we were way overrunning our bin fans consistently. You know, most farmers that probably are storing grain for a while are gonna be doing the same thing. And so with that, it's significantly cut down on the amount of energy that we've been using. We actually did an energy audit with NPPD. We were able to use some of the credits based off of how much energy we were saving due to a much smarter system. We're using the power when we need it. We're using the environment around us to our advantage to be able to hydrate or dehydrate the crop depending on how we're wanting to store it, which at the end of the day, really affects your bottom line when you're paying for a kilowatt of electricity. So a lot of people are always like, how do I get the most out of my crop? You know, we're value add, value add, value add. One thing that we experienced on our own farm was you try to get to the beans, you try to get them cut as fast as humanly possible to get them put into the bin. Well, then you're doing two things at once. You're trying to both combine the field and you're trying to manage what's in the bin, especially if you're cutting it early and wet. But with the entire SureTrack system, it gives us a little bit more flexibility. So sometimes if you're not getting those beans as quick as what you want, you have the ability now to hydrate them and understand exactly what you're doing. You have the know-how of AGI, their algorithm, their grain sample lab that helps build a customized hydration plan based off of the entire characteristics of that crop that's in that bin. I think that's pretty cool because at the end of the day, that's affecting your bottom line. You're gonna be able to take in the perfect moisture crop into that co-op or into that processor to be able to get the best bang for your buck. I mean, a lot of us are leaving dollars out in the field on the table we're going out in the air when we're over drying down our beans. That's especially a big one for a lot of people. For us, we've seen the ability to gain back that moisture consistently. It's actually kind of a cool story. At the end of last year, we were cleaning out a bin, and the guy calls me up, he said, "Where are you getting these beans?" It's probably middle of August, so not quite bean harvest season for us. And I was like, "Nowhere, they're coming out of the bin." He's like, "I thought they were coming from a field, they're in perfect moisture." And that was a testament to us that using this system, it's been very, very lucrative for us to be able to get a return on our investment from just simply using the air that's around us.